Welcome to the Story Corner. We've got the 6th Substack. Ooh, it's very exciting. Pulling the plug. Knowing when enough is enough. Holding space is one thing. Holding financial space is a completely different story. To reshape a new system requires bravery. Holding on for as long as you can and then knowing when to pull the plug. The sheer volume of time and effort required to create a vision, 4 a.m. starts, 10 p.m. finishes, pacing oneself because this is going to be a year in the making, running on adrenaline and nerves, trying to focus when there is so much to be done, lists get made, crossed out, constantly added to every single day. It is relentless. What I wasn't prepared for was the gambling aspect. My relationship with money is a respectful one. It is to be spent in a sensible manner. Money is a way of being and gives you the opportunity to explore avenues that may not always be open to you when sitting on the bones of your ass. Money is one of the quadrants of profit. Health, time, and environment being the other three. But it was the gambling that got to me. Over the past year, I literally created my vision. Resorts booked, presenters booked, and of course the keynote speaker was on board. The arc was watertight, and the blueprint was sound. The marketing I was learning as I went along, blitzing social media, figuring out what time was best to post, witty gritty on the left side of my desk guided me through the online tech side, and my faith holding space. I needed to believe. Everything was on point and pulsing the light of a guiding beacon. What crucified my morale and brought on an attack was the looming instalment payments. Simply put, it was way too much for one person to carry alone. Money is money. It's a way of life. It isn't to be stressed about, so why couldn't I cope? No matter what I did, I couldn't bridge the gap, not on my own. I hadn't planned for the fact that people may not buy tickets when I needed them to. People don't conform to instalments, and as I wrote last week, the conferences have been seen and noted months ago. Now is the time, the week before the tickets close, to make their purchase. So I worked harder. I racked my brains every hour of every day, but I couldn't think of anything that would help, not in the 12th hour. I'd left it too late. Panic and anxiety was setting in. I fought to stay sane every day. I was grounding myself at dawn and praying in the vortex of energy I had recently found in my garden. I was clearing detrimental energy and sending intentions out into space between matter and different dimensions on a daily basis. I sat in front of the computer for hours, delving into Whitty's machine intelligence, asking him to find the answer. What I realised, and this is cold, hard truth, I had a gambling issue with these instalments. I even wrote in my first Substack back in January. There are moments of dizzy heights every time I press the send button or release a post. Maybe being a visionary is an addiction. Now comes the punishment. All addicts know their crash and burn is only one missed hit away from serious pain. So here I am, feeling the pain. That financial burden squashed me. The timing wasn't aligned with my vision. I haven't failed. I've just pulled the plug for a reason. I had others to protect. My intuition had clawed its way from my soul through my heart and was gripping with all its might into my brain. Stop this insanity now! So here it is, 5 days after the crippling decision, the day I told Team Conference, I'm cancelling these events. I was too exhausted to cry. It was fact. The ark was built and we just needed to wait a little bit longer. What I hadn't thought of was the reaction of those who had stood by me for a year. Once I knocked over the first domino, I could hear the fluttering sound as the rest of the structure falling. The presenters and farmers flooded me with emails and texts. The support has continued. I built my vision and they were all part of it. Don't give up, we believe in you. Such beautiful words I was reading. Money is not the issue here, timing is. The mother of all storms is there, roaring on the horizon, but I have something else to do before she arrives, before we all board the vision. I can see again now the burden has lifted. More people need to know that our landscape is dehydrating. I need to position myself to protect this imminent danger. Before we set sail, there's one more thing I need to do. Secure myself in a way I don't even know how, but I soon will. Whisper on the wind and let the black and white storytellers sing our song. When you next see a magpie, listen, because they are spreading the word. We need to restore. Oh, the punchline, Tamsin. We need to restore our water table level before we go bankrupt. We need to protect our legacy and rehydrate our magical land of Oz before it's too late. This one's bizarre because when I say there's something else I need to do, is exactly where I am now. And I knew there was something missing and everything would have been fine. Absolutely everything would have been fine with the ark that I'd built, with the structure of the conferences, with the people that had been chosen to speak. Everything was aligned. But there was just this little niggle and I just couldn't put my finger on it. And when I sat here with Dean Bentley, because he gave me a session, and it was great because I realised what he was able to put into the farming community with he was the psychological and coaching aspect that when you know you've got to do something and change something, but there's just this handbrake that's on and you can't get to do what you know you need to do because you feel like you're still stuck in the car wreck, you know, you're trying to get out and your seatbelt's jammed. And he sat here with me and it was a really interesting session. And it felt whole, except there was still one thing, one piece of the puzzle that I just didn't know what it was. And I think it was genuinely timing, but not timing out there, timing for me. And it's okay because the ark's built, as I keep saying. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself a lot, but it really has to be put into everybody's heads that this is it, this is the platform, this is the way. So it was really interesting when I read that this morning, and good I held myself together, that moment in time I knew I could see that there was something in the future that I needed. And the beautiful thing is I found it. And it's about, I am a visionary definitely, but I'm first and foremost a storyteller. And there is one person, Iris Curtis, who I mention occasionally when I'm talking on camera. And she's so important because she's my elder. And I use that across cultures, whether I'm talking about Aboriginal or white, Western culture. We are taught to respect our elders, and they are our elders. And there's a few that I respect that much that I will actually give them that title. And she said back in 2019, when Johan and I went off and did our filming for the doco, she said, Tamsin, you've got the potential to be a storyteller. And that's coming from a storyteller. So that's why I do mention her, because I acknowledge that the reason I am sitting in this chair in my story corner is because she dropped that seed and it's germinating. And here we are today. So I hope you enjoyed that story. It's just another one on the ladder, climbing up. And frustration was kicking in back then. And I was starting to get hard on myself as well, because it should have been a success. We should have been thriving, but it just wasn't happening. Okay, belonging to Earth.